Oh, that's fun. Let's see why that's not working. Ah, that will probably do it. Hello. Alright. I've got a feed. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. Oops. Make sure that's muted. Alright, let's take a look at what we're doing today. So, our plan for today is, first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and try and diagnose whatever issue I've been having with this PS1. I've got this PlayStation 1, original PlayStation, and I did an oopsie. I tried to install this mod chip, and the mod chip worked for a minute. I don't think it ever quite worked all the way, but now I've removed the mod chip and the PlayStation doesn't work. So we're gonna have to figure out maybe what's wrong with it, and then go ahead and try to repair it. Now, I did try to repair it a long time ago, and I believe what had happened then was I had gotten solder on a couple of the IC legs, and I mean, if you don't know, that's not good to bridge connections that shouldn't be bridged. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a shot. The other thing I'm testing out today is the avatar. I don't know, it's kind of fun. It's kind of silly, goofy, but I like the effect that it's got. I think it's interesting looking. So we're gonna go ahead and try it. Let's go ahead and let me just set up one more thing before we get going. Let's see. These guys are gonna go together. Okay, so let's go over here. Now, oh, you can't see my window. Let's see. Chrome. Okay, should be this one. Let's see. It says it's being recorded. There are quite a few. Oh, that is basically the mod chip mod that I did. That looks very similar, actually. This is pretty much what I'm trying to do. Now, this mod chip, it went in initially so that you could play pirated games. Games for retro systems get kind of expensive, so I wanted to be able to write my own onto a disc. And this installation is pretty similar to what mine ended up looking like, but I think I got some solder kind of gooped up on that bottom right circuit there. So I would like to see, I don't know exactly which chip that is. We can go in and take a look. It was an MM3 chip, so this is the guide that I used. I'm gonna go ahead and take apart the system. We will take a look at everything, and then go ahead and see if we can fix it. Alright, let's go ahead and go to the workbench. I've got a new desk mat here and some better light, so it should be a bit better. Let's take a look at this guy. Here it is. There's our PlayStation. Opens up just fine. It's got some scuffs and scratches on it, but in general it's in okay condition. But we're gonna go ahead and start taking it apart. New follower. Hello. Mr. Ferris. It's good to see you. How are you doing today? All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Nostalgia hitting hard with this one. Just gonna lurk and do homework. That's cool. Thanks for stopping in. First time chat. Hi. Wow. And Jake's back. And guys, let me know again with the audio. I did a quick test before stream and it seemed okay. But it's always harder for me to tell versus you guys listening on different devices or whatnot. Now, the PS1 went through quite a few revisions. There are maybe 4 or 5 different models of this one in the same shell, different motherboard layouts. So you have to be really careful when you're doing work on these kind of things because they won't call it the PS1 Slim. They'll call it like this is the 9001. So this might be revision 9. I don't know the whole history of these ones, but when you're working on a lot of these retro systems, you really have to be cautious of which revision you're working on. Let's get the lid off. I like how the housing is all just connected like this. You don't have to do any extra work to get the disc tray apart. How loud do you want the background music? Kind of just at the background. I was hoping that it would be something you could hear while I'm talking, but because I'm not going to be talking as I'm doing all of the stuff, a little bit quieter, medium to quiet. I don't know. I have it maybe half volume compared to my voice. All right, here's our optical drive. This could be the issue. It could be that discs aren't reading. These drives are the first point of failure on a lot of these machines. These old optical drives are, they're great when they work, but a lot of times they don't work. Now, on this side, we have our power supply. We have AC power in, and then it goes through the power supply and gets converted. I'm gonna try to just take the power supply off, I think. Yeah, I think it's only being held in by those clips. I'd rather get those out of the way. Well, we'll do that next. This ribbon here connects the motherboard to your controller ports and your memory card slots. These ribbon cables are a little bit sturdier than the ones we were working on last time in the Game Boys. These are, you can see it's folded and it's at like a set fold. All right, let's remove this connector. This powers our whole motherboard. It's crazy. It's only this one little, what is that? 4 wires going from the power supply to the actual main board. Yeah, these things didn't take a whole lot of power. All right, we're gonna remove the RF shield. Yeah, we've got some fire protection warnings on here. Those are funny to see. A fun fact with a lot of these old retro systems is if you've ever looked at like an old Game Boy or like a Super Nintendo or even a PlayStation or an old Macintosh or something like that, and you see the yellowing, that yellowing is actually caused by the chemical that they used as a fire retardant. In the plastic, they were really concerned. There's our RF shield. They were really concerned with those catching on fire. I'm not really sure if that ended up being kind of like a we didn't know, so we put it in anyway, or if something had happened and they had to put it in. But the chemical responds to UV light in the form of the sun and yellows over time. And there's our motherboard. That's it. So it looks like we have revision PU23. I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of this aside. Kind of reassemble it a little bit. Really, we're probably just working on the motherboard tonight. I didn't break the disc reader, so I doubt it's broken. It worked last time, but I've gotten in trouble for believing that before, so you know, we'll see. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look and see. I'm trying to get the glare to go away. Let me see if I can just take a look at the video properties real quick. Might have a backlight compensation. Nope, that's not it. Well, we will zoom in. Alright. Exposure. Ah, we can change the exposure. That looks a lot better, doesn't it? That looks good. Okay, great. Apply. Okay. Ooh, it's low resolution. We don't have to zoom in. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. Right about there. Nope. Yeah, this is interesting stream content, isn't it? Zooming in a camera and then zooming it back out and then zooming it in again. It's great. It's good stuff. Your fingers look great. Flushed. Thanks. Good to be here. Oh, I totally forgot I had that avatar set up. I mean, it works. It tracks my eye movement, which is like almost creepy, but I think it's kind of cool. It's a little strange. Sometimes I forget. Riveting. Yeah, Jake knows what's up. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom back out a little bit more. Alright, that looks at least a little bit better. Okay, revision PU23. We're going to go over here, and we're going to go to Chrome, and we're going to find this motherboard with this revision. PSX PU23. Let's see what comes up. Here's a mod chip installation diagram. This is the diagram that I used to install it in the first place, which means that I have at least a little bit of an idea of where the solder could be. Oh, they have a breakout board on there. See, mine just was the bare chip. Okay, let's take a look. I don't know if they have... oh, diagram for the PU23. Pin 4 is located towards the top left side of the board. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this under the microscope and just do a quick once over and see if we can see the bridging that's going on. I did try to remove it before, but I'm assuming that it didn't work, and we might end up seeing some of that solder residue like up under the IC. I'm not sure yet though, so let's take a look. Let me get the microscope plugged in. Okay, let's go here. That's not a microscope. Weird. Okay. Well, for the moment, I will go back to this view so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing, but let me get the microscope set up. I just realized the scope is going to block my face if I put it there, so it's going to go off to the side. I'm using an iPhone to do the facial capture. Alright. Let's take a look. Now, sometimes the microscope connects as a new device instead of an existing camera source. Oh. OBS is not responding. Oh, we're back. Okay. Huh. Yep. Okay, great. This might pose a problem. I don't see the microscope listed in the other sources here. Let me see. Oh, I had it in this one. Bench scope cam. Let's see if that's gonna work. Oh, there's the scope. Okay. That's why it wasn't working. It was viewed in another window. Alright, back to the microscope. Alright. Here it is, gang. Okay. Like I said, it's quite zoomed in here. I'll pull up my little avatar for you guys too. Okay, I'll put her there. So here's our Sony chip, CXD8606BQ, made in Korea. Cool. I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit. I promise I will refocus the screen. I promise. And this time I can refocus it and see the stream at the same time. Jake, I thank you for your help with that last time. It was a bit of a pain. Okay. That looks like it's probably our main CPU. We've got this guy over here, 933B67W. That one. Oh, wait. That's the issue. There it is. See that right there? Those are 3 pins that are bridged that should not be. And I suspect if we look it up, that is probably a video driver chip. C2060, but not an NVIDIA 2060. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can find that on the diagram. But before that, we'll take a bit of a closer look at the damage that I caused, and I'll kind of explain what happened and why it looks like this. Let me zoom back in for you all. If it wasn't clear, this microscope actually doesn't have a zoom. I'm physically moving the sensor. Okay, so here's our issue. There's a couple things wrong here. Just pulling out some tweezers to show you guys. First thing wrong is, one, the bridged pins are pretty bad. That looks rough. It doesn't look like it's shorting, but it looks like it could. Something might be missing. There might supposed to be a resistor there. If that's the case, we're gonna have to improvise. And then that solder bubble, that's probably what I was supposed to attach the original mod chip to. So let's go ahead and see if we can get some of that solder off. I have soldering wick here somewhere. Oh, right here. Now the soldering wick is pretty great. What it'll do is it'll let us kind of pull some of that solder out just with a little bit of heat. We're gonna give it just a little bit of wick and see where we go from there. Turn the iron on. Oops. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. There's no good way to put it. So kind of like what I was saying earlier, you can tell that the solder kind of got up under the chip. With the chip this size, I think I could, if I needed to, I could remove it and put it back on. I don't want to have to do that if it's avoidable, but I'm just rotating that around for you guys. I'm gonna set it right there so we get in the middle of the action. And then I'm actually gonna tape the motherboard down to the microscope bed, just to give it a little bit of stability. I have some tape over here just for that. Now I want to be really careful to preserve the other components that are sitting around here. You got to make sure that when you're working on this kind of equipment, you know, anything this small with instruments here, I'll show you that this is the size of my soldering iron. It looks really small to the eye, but this close, it's a pretty big weapon. So I need to make sure that I am cautious with what I'm installing. Okay, actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and look up the chip number and see what we can learn about it, because I'm quite curious. All right, let's look at PSX PU23 diagram. And I'll go ahead and switch over to desktop for you guys. Okay. Oh, here's a manual. I'm mostly curious just what this chip actually does. I don't really know. It's labeled C2060. This is a block diagram. Power block. Ooh, that looks cool. Okay. Looks like an X-ray probably. So the chip we're looking at is this one in the very top right. But it doesn't seem to have like a breakout. So let's see. It's possible that they won't have it on this board or on this diagram. Yeah, these are the power supplies. Okay, let's take a look at another website, maybe. Oh, okay, great. This is for installing a different type of mod chip. Oh, this is for installing an Arduino. I'm not really sure what that would do. Gamessx.com. Oh, good. This looks promising-ish. Wow. This is the service manual. Oh my. Okay. Is this an original Sony service manual? Wow. Well, this is cool. Okay. This is workable. The GPU. Let's see. Okay. Much IC304 is what we're looking to repair. IC102. 200s. 4. Did I miss it? IC304 mechanism control. That's interesting. Okay. Let's get a closer look at what that does. IC304 mechanism control. Alright, so I suppose now what we can do is actually look at what pins we bridged. It looks like 14, 15, and 16, which are OSC 2, OSC 1, and then F bias. What does that connect to? Across there. Okay. Interesting. So it doesn't actually look like pins 15 or 16 are being used. But it could just be an issue if we do use them and we shouldn't have. Alright, let's get back to the scope and go ahead and start the repair. The iron is heated up. We're ready to go. First thing I'm going to do is apply flux. Flux is a soldering paste used to conduct heat. It's very, very heat conductive. Oh, the back thing just came out. Very, very heat conductive. It's very good for doing small soldering stuff. You can use flux for anything pretty much, but it comes in this big old syringe. So I have this long metal tube, and I'm just going to be really careful and gently place a little bit down. Okay. And now I'm going to use the soldering wick, which is this stuff right here. Now the soldering wick, it uses heat and the capillary action to just pull the wet solder up and out of the circuit board. Let's give that a shot. I need to turn my iron to a higher temperature. Go to 360, see how that does. And we're just going to be real slow. We want to kind of tease that solder up and out of there. Doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot yet. When you've done it right, you'll see the flux color actually change. Probably shouldn't touch it while it's hot, huh? I'm going to use another piece of tape real quick to just really secure the board in. I don't want it jiggling around a whole lot while I'm doing this. Okay, let's have another go at it. Okay, it's getting hot. That's good. That means that it might be ready. Alright. And no, nothing yet. It's still on there. Okay. I'm gonna retrim the end of this real quick. It's getting a little bit frayed. This wick can be a little bit tedious, but when it works, it feels like magic. Alright. Let's give it another shot. There's that color change. You can see it moving up the wick. It's fantastic. And just like that, we have all 3 pins free and on their own pad. I am a little bit suspicious that there could be other things wrong also. However, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and rotate it around. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of peek up under that edge, and I'll refocus you guys. It doesn't look like we have any blobs of solder hiding under there. It doesn't look clean, but it looks cleaner. I am, again, still suspicious that those pads were meant to receive resistors or something. We're going to have to check that. We're going to go back to one of those circuit diagrams and see if maybe the issue is larger than initially thought. But on first glance, man, I'm going to be honest, I thought it was going to be a lot harder than that. That's a good feeling, though. Let's take a look. We'll go to here. All right. So it looks like those are test points, which is good. 19 and 21 are test points. Okay, so maybe... Oh, wait, hold on. I'm on the wrong... No, yeah, I'm on the right spot. Yeah, 19 and 21 are test points. 19 looks like it goes to a switch with 39. I think these pads are too close to each other to be resistors. Now, we're not out of the woods yet because it could be a bigger issue at hand. What might be wrong is I ran it a couple times with the error. I plugged it in and I tried to turn it on a few times. Oh, we need to clean up that other resistor here too. We gotta clean that guy up a little bit. Let's do that next. So I'm hoping that when I ran it broken, it didn't cause any issues. But again, it's hard to know without testing and without taking a really close look at the board. Just gonna tape that back down. And thankfully, the capacitors on this board seem pretty stable. I don't see any leakage or any anything to be concerned about. These old systems, capacitors are always the first thing to go. They are famous for kind of dying a lot quicker than the system's lifespan. But it looks like we're doing okay. So I'm just gonna look at that. Already much better. Let me see if I can remove a little bit of that solder. It looks like we have a little bit too much. That's okay. And then here's our test point. Just removing a little bit extra each time I do this. We don't need all that. Okay. That is cleaned up. Let's go over it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. And that'll just clean up any of the flux that's left over, and it'll clean up any dirt or grime. You can see it almost looks wet around this area. Over on the bottom left here, it looks quite a bit better, but on this side it looks all wet. So I'm just going to go over it with a little bit of alcohol, and then we'll see how it goes. I have a few other things to repair tonight. We've got we have that other game gear, but I'm still waiting on those capacitors to come in. What else do we have? Oh, we have a few more Game Boy colors to run through. Oh, it looks like earwax. That's pretty disgusting. You gotta clean the computer's ears, you know? Now, the way I'm actually doing this is the microscope has a video output that's going to my computer, and I'm looking at the monitor and moving my hand but not looking at it. If you ever like used a drawing tablet or anything, it's kind of the same type of deal. It's a little bit strange to get used to at first, but we're getting there. Alright, that already looks a little bit better. The other thing that we can do is toothbrush. I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of alcohol in the toothbrush. And then that'll just let us get in some of those hard to reach areas between the pins and then between some of the components. Alright, let's clean that up. That looks good to me. Okay. Much better. All right. Now, we're gonna go back to that old manual and see if it has us do any other tests for the repair. I actually hadn't found that manual before the stream started, so I think it's fun to look at, but also I think it could be a good way to troubleshoot some errors. Let's take a look. Service manual. Oh, digital audio signal processor. Oh, okay, so it's like an audio support circuit, maybe? Let's see. Electrical parts list. Oh, wow. Ceramic capacitors. Power block. Reproduction prohibited. That seems like they failed on that front, considering that we're able to see it now, but so be it. Alright. Yeah, nothing else. There's no, like, instruction guides. 9001. Laser diode properties. Outputs on rear. And I have an AV cable. My monitor doesn't accept AV, so I can... a couple options. I do have a CRT that I could set up and we could use to test. But first, let's go ahead and reassemble this and give it a clean. Test point for PU23 board. Okay. What? Oh, I don't have a oscilloscope to test this with, do I? Ha. I can't afford that. This block diagram is pretty cool. Okay, well, let's put this on hold. I don't know if there's much else that I'm gonna be able to do. We're gonna go and inspect all the other points where I had previously installed. I already see one where I previously installed a mod chip connector. So let's actually just look at P2323. Okay, these are our points to look at. Point number 6 right here is the other tough spot that I do know of. All right, let's take a look. So, untape this. Hello, Fidget. Good to see you. It's been a while. How you doing? We're doing some repairs on this Sony PlayStation 1 motherboard here. Okay. That's gross. That's pretty rough. I did that with a big fat... Oh, yeah. Hi, Fidget. Not like this. Yeah. I did repairs on this before I got my fancy newer soldering iron. I used a like Harbor Freight kind of big fat one, and the issue with that is your precision is really low. It's tough to do any like actual good precise work, especially on components that are this size. For scale, this is the tip of my like, needle nose tweezers. These things have accidentally like punctured my fingers on multiple occasions. That's how small they are. So just for size context, it's pretty rough. Okay, let's go ahead and just clean up a little bit around those. I think those are capacitors. We're gonna have to take a look. C721, yeah, okay. And the first thing I want to do is get this solder off that we don't need. A lot of this is just extra, and it's gonna make checking our circuit a lot harder. We want to make sure that we only have what we need. Is that just flux on there? I know I had used some flux instead of it being from a syringe. I used flux from like a tub. It was really hard to apply because, again, no precision on that kind of thing. All right, that looks sketch, but it could work. There's no promise that it will, but it could. Oh, I don't know if I just went out of range with my little avatar. Yeah, there I did. Still kind of experimenting around with that one, but anyway. Okay, let's again use our wick here, and we're just gonna very gently. Man, it's hard to be that small. You know, I used to think I had really steady fingers, really steady hands. Now, after seeing this, I don't know. I don't know if I really do. Man, that looks really gross. And we should just see that nice color change, but we aren't yet. It's not hot enough. There we are. There we go. That didn't take much, did it? That took some off. Okay, let's go to the other side. It's being very resistant to the wick. The good news is that that connection looks, it looks ugly, but it looks reliable. The solder seems to be in an okay spot. How did it look there? Let's get the hair. That is not awesome. All right. Well, that might be as good as we can get it. Let's take a look at the other test points that we were supposed to connect to. Oh, actually, I do want to clean up that big via there. I almost just dumped the alcohol all over myself. I'm not quite sure what it's for, but I know it's not supposed to look like that. Okay, that'll have to do. Now, we could reinstall the mod chip. I might still have it. We could try reinstalling it. Let's take a look at crap, which one is it? This one. There we go. All right. Looks like one next to the controller port. Yeah, next to the controller port. That one looks okay. Number 2 is the point we just fixed. Number 3 is on the other side of that one. I'll just take you through these actually. Here, it'll be a lot more interesting than, compared to looking at the still photo. Okay. There we go. Alright, test point number 1 is this guy right here. You can't see it. There. That guy right there. You can tell I have a lot of extra solder on there, but it's not doing anything. It doesn't look like it's breakaging any connections. It shouldn't. Maybe onto that trace there, but it's probably fine. 2 and 3 are there, and then on that side of that capacitor there. Again, I'm not in love with it, but it looks fine. Let's take a look at the next one. 4 is on, where's that? 4 is on this point. Where are we at? 4 is that pad right there. Again, that looks fine. I think that was just a test pad. These test pad connections are probably pretty safe to connect to. It's why a lot of the mod chips use them. They don't interfere with other components a lot of times. They just take or give a signal. Alright, next one is that one right there. Again, it looks okay. 5, 6 is that one we just repaired. And then I believe we just have 7, which is back up at that big old blob that we had right here. So that means that we've got all of our points at least repaired slightly. Let's go back to here. All right, let me get that out of the way. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and reassemble, at least somewhat. I'm gonna assemble it to the point where we have, we're able to plug it in and try it. I'm not gonna put the housing screws back in. Here's our disc reader, the ribbon cable connector and the power connector, and our housing tray. Alright, this guy is going to go right here, and actually has a couple plastic points that just drop onto that mostly holds it in place, which means that we can put the RF shield on. Wrong way. That's just gonna give us a nice steady housing. This one goes this way. This connects to our backplane for the controller and motherboard, or sorry, memory card PCBs. I think I got that backward. Probably doesn't matter, but I'd rather keep it how it was. Yeah, that looks a lot cleaner. I'll wait to plug that in. This one is gonna go like so. That'll connect our power supply. Finally, we have our disc reader. Come on. I want to be really careful with this because of the way this is a very strange connection. It's a ribbon cable that has a stiff end that plugs straight down into the motherboard and the motor power. Okay, that is the majority of the system. Again, I'm not going to screw any of these in because mostly I just want to test if it works. So, there we go. Looks good. I don't have a power supply cable to plug this in on me at my desk at the moment. What I can do instead is test it later and work on something else now. So that's what we'll do. We're going to go ahead and get going on a Game Boy repair. Last stream, I repaired a pink Game Boy Color, and something really strange happened. There it is. There it is. So, this pink Game Boy Color, what did we do on this? We replaced the screen lens, we tried to repair the audio, but the audio wasn't working. After stream, about an hour later, I heard the Game Boy turn on, and realized that, one, I'd left it on, so, that's on me. But the second thing that happened was the sound worked the second time. I don't know what changed to make the sound function. So no sound. So we're gonna go ahead and take a closer look at the sound. Oh, I forgot the start and select buttons. I wonder where those ended up. Huh. I really hope I have them. That's concerning. I hope they didn't end up in the trash. Well, I guess there's not much I can do about it now. I might have to get more. That's really strange. Okay, let's separate. These are for the PlayStation. Do not use these on the Game Boy. They are much too large. The Game Boy cannot handle screws that big. Do not attempt. Yeah, so the sound, I assumed that the corrosion was the issue with the soundboard. The speaker and the audio jack, the 3.5mm headphone jack, were both quite corroded, and they look really blue. I'm not sure how well it shows up on camera, but right there is way too blue. So what we have to do is take a look and see if there's anything that we can do to kind of help it along with the audio. The Game Boy works, and the screen's fine. What am I trying to say? The screen is okay. The games read fine. It's just this audio issue, but it does need to be fixed. This was not the only Game Boy in this batch that had really, really bad corrosion. We are going to go ahead and look at another one next that has pretty awful corrosion all the way through the motherboard. And that is a first for me as far as seeing that. I've never seen corrosion go up under the silk screen before. Kind of like what I talked about last time, but we're gonna start with this one, which seems maybe more manageable. Oh, the buttons are in there, they're just squished down. That's interesting. Okay. Well, so the shallow side. And I believe I did change this to the glass lens. It looks good, so I think it is. And if not, then it honestly probably doesn't even need it, but I have one for it anyway. Okay. That is interesting. Our power board looks fine. Speaker connection looks okay. There are aftermarket like 3.5mm headphone jacks. I do actually have some headphone jacks that we could try to replace it with. They aren't the same form factor, but accommodations could be made in the shell to fit that. We could maybe make that work if we had to. Okay. Let's try and... Oh, I need to change the Twitch stream name. We're doing Game Boy stuff now. Game Boy Repair Night. Okay. Updated successfully. Good to see. Anyway. There's a few things we could do. We can remove the component and clean it and try to put it back on. But the inside of this driver is just really bad. I just don't know what else to start with. So let's do a little bit of research real quick. We'll go to the desktop and open this back up. Let's see what we can find. Oop. Sorry, I have to move my keyboard in and out of frame. It has white keycaps, and if I leave it in frame, the camera exposes all funny. Alright. Game Boy. Remove corrosion. Let's see what they say online. Vinegar is something that I've seen. You set it in vinegar. Usually it's the battery contacts. Yeah, you remove them, separate the case, remove the contacts. Distilled white vinegar seems to do it. So we could try to use the vinegar. I would be hesitant. It says you can use 50-50 vinegar and sterile water. It's okay to place the whole board in the solution and then scrub the residue. Rinse it with sterile water, then clean the board with alcohol to displace the water. Let's see what they say. Yeah, it says isopropyl alcohol or vinegar, and I've tried the alcohol, but it really doesn't seem to be working. I'm gonna see if this is a similar... Oh, that's not a whole lot. That's a Game Boy Advance. Yeah. What I've learned with a lot of these repairs is that nobody really knows the exact answer for some of this stuff. A lot of these are kind of home remedies that have worked over time, and I hesitate to use them because often they don't actually do anything, but what we can do is just drop some alcohol down in there and see if that's going to get a decent enough reaction that we can kind of clean some of the junk out. Okay, let's take a look. I've got the toothbrush and I've got the alcohol dropper. I'm gonna see if I can just put some onto the toothbrush and jam the brush down into the port. Try that. I really just want to make sure I get the bristles down in there and moving around. Going from the other end also. Oh, it looks like it's doing something. That's good. I don't want to rub that old speaker off. Or that's actually the new one we installed on Thursday. Okay, that's doing something. It's just painfully slow, but that'll be alright. I'm hopeful that it's some sort of short in the audio jack that's causing the issue. I do also want to take a look. Oh, that looks like it's already fixed quite a bit. I do want to take a look at what we can do to replace the audio jack because of how badly corroded it is. And also, oh wow, that's made quite a big difference. Okay. You can see still how blue it looks. I'm trying to get it to focus. It still looks pretty blue, but it's a change. If we can get it to at least work, I'm more than happy. This batch of Game Boys that I'm working on now has been a little bit of a pain, but it's okay. I did forget to install this little guy here on the speaker. That goes just like that. Ooh, almost. Much better. That little paper is supposed to come off, I believe. Nope. Alright, we'll leave it on there. That's fine. Let's see if we get sound when we plug it in. If we get sound, then I'm thrilled. I know it's possible on this board because I heard it the other night. Although it did feel like the ghost of my Pokemon turned on my Game Boy. I was not excited about that part. It happened twice. It turned on and then it turned right back off, and I was a little bit confused. And then the second time I actually went and looked at it, and it was clear that the Game Boy had turned on. Dimension Zero. Yeah, you hate to see it. The corrosion is... unfortunately, with systems as old as these, if you've left it with a battery for long enough, you're gonna see it. Alright, I'm actually gonna go to mute the music. In case this works, I want you guys to be able to hear it. Nope. You didn't miss anything. No audio. Okay. Yeah, you hate to see it. How are you doing, Dimension Zero? I was so ready for that F. Dude, me too. That one hurt a little bit. I don't know what would cause it to work suddenly. And we can also look at some more of those forums and kind of see if we can find a better answer. But that's a very strange circumstance for it to turn on suddenly without me messing with it, but then also been writing a lab manuscript non-stop from start to finish since 11 a.m. Dimension 0. I'm trying to recognize your username. I'm sorry. A lab manuscript, though? That's rough. Yeah. That's tough. Lamp. I understand now. Yes. Welcome, Mr. Lamp. Wait. Well, let's take a look. I'm gonna find an audio schematic for this Game Boy Color. Let's see what we can see. Go to the PC. Oh. Whoa. Not what I'm looking for. Okay, there we go. Alright. Game Boy. Ooh. Game Boy Color schematic. That is a Game Boy Color in an original Game Boy shell. That's fascinating, actually. Let's take a look. Okay, I see what you're doing. That's if you triggered a free virtual effect hammer. Oh, did that do anything? Did the hammer do something? I don't know. I don't know either. I had started to set some of that up. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working. I'll... Actually, here. I'll take you guys with me as we try to figure that one out. Okay. So, this is gonna sound funky, but I've got this program here. Let me change out the Chrome window. Chrome properties. It's not pulling up a window. Let's see, window capture. There it is, VC face. Why is it frozen? Man, that's not great. Okay, well, I guess you don't get to see. I'm trying to get it set up to show you what I'm looking at. Where's Chrome? Ah, VC face. There we go. It's just not updating. That is strange. Alright, so be it. We'll move on. Okay, Game Boy Color inside of a DMG case. I've seen some interesting mods like this. I've built inside of one of these cases before, and it's pretty fun. There's the motherboard. Oh wow. They harvested it for parts. That is impressive. Wow, okay. This is quite the project. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. I'm ADHD mode. The hammer effect is part of an extension I have to another program, but I don't think that actually has like Twitch set up to be linked with it. I think it's for another thing, so I'm gonna try to turn it off. Extensions, my extensions, we're gonna deactivate that for now. Okay, power supply. So there's the Game Boy Color power supply on the right there. That Oh, theirs is corroded too. That's interesting. That might be something on there that like makes it more susceptible to receiving the corrosion. They moved a filtering capacitor. Oh, the Game Boy Color cartridge connector is thinner. Okay. Wow. So, I've learned some with like the Wii trimming projects where they make the handhelds out of the Wiis, that a lot of these motherboards are not redundant but unnecessary. And a lot of the time you can kind of get away with just removing a lot of parts. So that doesn't shock me that you could kind of fit that in there, but okay. Its CPU and RAM are used to play Game Boy Color dedicated games. Is this like a... Oh, revision 62299. Wow, okay. To remove the LCD screen, carefully twist the front housing. This always makes me feel nervous. I do not like doing that. I've done it dozens of times. It just makes me want to cry. Okay, components. Oh, that's a cool thing, but I'm not super interested in that. Let's look for a Game Boy Color audio repair and just see what pops up. Brand new speaker, but no luck. Okay. They said to test it, test conductivity from headphone disconnect to the motherboard, and it's good. So the speaker doesn't connect, or speaker doesn't appear to be stuck. I see. Okay, so I did notice that in the audio jack, there was corrosion in the jack itself, which could have led to some sort of short. I'm not convinced. The U3 IC audio amp. Alright, and then they recommend replacing a few different capacitors. Let's go ahead and look at Handheld Legend. See if they have capacitors for the Game Boy Color. Let's see, audio. They might have an audio amp replacement. They do. That is tempting. They have the one that seems like it's used for the audio. This is the type of jack that I actually have. So we could see if they have installation instructions. We could install one of these. It would look fancy. I'm not sure. I want to remove the original jack, but you know, it's an option. Let's look at Game Boy Color power devices and see what they've got. Yeah, they've got that 680 microfarad capacitor. The fuses, we could check the fuses. Power regulator, the entire capacitor kit's only $4. Voltage regulator, original power regulator. That's pretty cool. We could check that too and see that we're making good power. Alright, well. All other answers are wrong, or in a wrong way on thinking. The actual issue is this. That is a bold statement, but he's right. That's what's dirty on mine. Wow, those are some strong words, man. Thank you, Meh3000. This metal tab is designed for connecting speaker. When the metal tab gets dirty, it makes the speaker unable to be connected. By the way of plugging headphone, This metal tab will be released to not to connect speaker. Check this before considering further repair. Wow, that is a strongly worded comment. iPhone 15 twist moment. Really, no, those twists were, ugh. We're gonna do a few more of them tonight. They're just not always pleasant to actually perform. Time for battle bit. Okay, let's take a look. Well, since Meh 3000 said so, I am... I'm not convinced, but it's funny. Okay, let's see. The other thing they said is the volume knob, and again, I don't know. I cleaned it out with alcohol last time. It's cleanish. It's just not great. Let's go ahead and take a look. Move this cable out of the way. This is my extra keyboard that I've got connected up here. All right. So they say it's that connector there. Let's put it under the scope and see if maybe scrape some of that dirt out of there. If we can, that'll be great. And if not, then Meh 3000 on the iFixit forums has made a fool of himself, and he should be ashamed. Oh, I love this music. Go to the scope. Oh. Come on, please. Please refresh. Please refresh. Man, that microscope has been such a pain to get, like, actually outputting correctly. Remove that group. There we go. Okay. You can see how dirty it is in there. That is pretty rough. There's not much else I can say except that's pretty rough. So we're gonna waterboard it with isopropyl, and then we're gonna use vinegar. And I'm being very, let's say, generous with how much I'm using on there. I'm also going to go in with some tweezers to just scrape some of that out and see what we can do. Kind of just work at that blue gunk. Now, chemically, I don't actually know what battery corrosion is. I think, why does she look surprised? Hello? Oops. That was silly. That was funny. I have some expressions set up for the avatar here, but they don't seem to be functioning correctly. Oh, back to the scope. Well, it's already made a little bit of a difference. Let's see if we can focus it. You can see where it's just not there yet. that moved, didn't it? Wow, that's quite the corrosion on there. And that too, that's crazy. I don't know if I can even, like, I'm trying to be really gentle about removing this, because if I scrape too much, I can kind of gouge the plastic, or I'm not really going to scrape the metal, but I might kind of damage my tweezers, which is fine, but wow, that's gross. Let's get a Q-tip. Boy, what a disgusting piece of electronics. Not nearly as bad as the Game Boy we repaired last time, the DMG, but still quite nasty. Ew, look at all that. Look at all that. Now, I'm curious about at what point the speakers will start functioning, and it's not, maybe it's impatient of me, but I'm gonna plug it in and see anyway. We're gonna connect it up. What's not working? There we go. Let's plug the ribbon cable in. I'm so paranoid about these ribbon connectors. I try to be so gentle with them, but there's, I don't know, they're just a little bit finicky, and they make me quite nervous. Alright. Let's see. Please have sound. No sound. So not yet. Not yet. We can give it a good soak. Yeah, I can still see quite a bit in there. It's so dark blue. It's like it's a very unnatural color to see on electronics, to me at least. I'm gonna get a drink. Give me one moment. I'm drinking a, well, here. Premium Swedish imported Recordelig. I don't know. I've been told that it's good. That is, in fact, pretty good. It tastes mostly like a Capri Sun. Good stuff. Okay. Let's see about suspending that part in vinegar. I'm gonna be right back, and I'm gonna try to grab some vinegar and kind of just drop this into a cup, maybe. We'll see how that works. Be right back. Oh, okay, so I've been muted this whole time. Since the Be Right Back, I've been muted. That is a little bit embarrassing. Wow. Yeah, I've been talking this whole time, just to myself. Alright, well, we'll just move past that. Welcome, Who Needs RAM? I think that was the... I was wondering if you were able to hear. Geez, yeah, that throws me off a little bit. Okay, well, wow. I guess what I've been doing is checking on the Game Boy motherboard that we had in the solution of vinegar and distilled water. And then I started removing this adhesive up under the polarizer lens for this Game Boy Pocket. And I'm just slowly working my knife blade under there to get that adhesive up. I want to make sure that I keep it as much in one piece as I can so that it doesn't like separate. But now what I need to do is go over and grab some, or I need to dump the vinegar solution that I've made and then get a something's wrong with my avatar. Get a bin of isopropyl alcohol to soak the new motherboard in. I don't know why she's doing that. That's quite strange. Let's go and take a look. Better range, less smoothing. Maybe I did something funky. Huh. I don't know what I would have done to mess up the thingy. Drift back to normal. Anyway, time to get some isopropyl alcohol in a bin. Alright, we got the bin emptied out. We've got our 91% isopropyl alcohol. We're just gonna dump some in there. Nice long pour. Okay. I'm gonna do just that. Get it really down in there. I'm gonna leave this tilted just to soak that in. Find the battery. And we're just gonna let that soak again for a minute or two. It shouldn't need much because it's really just trying to displace the water, but that's okay. So earlier when I would turn my head, it would just turn my head, but now it's trying to lean my head. I don't really understand why. That's better. There we go. She's back to normal. Well, kind of. Okay. Alright. So this guy here, this is just gonna need some slow work with the knife. Just slowly working our way all the way across the display. Okay. That's a pretty big portion. And I think we're just gonna have to go from each corner and just work what we can. I don't think I'm doing this in the best method. It would be a lot easier if I was able to get under it the first time. Instead of removing the first layer and now this layer. I don't feel like I'm being very efficient with time this way. At least it's getting somewhere, but it's not very entertaining. So maybe we can do a different task, like take a look at the Game Boy that we already started repairing. Let's see. Here's our alcohol bath. Just gonna lift that out of there and dry it off. And now I'm gonna go ahead and go over it with the microscope and just see if we can kind of scrape any of this remaining gunk off of there. So clearly it's already, oh wow, that is so much better. It might just work now, honestly. That whole area is clean and you can see all these contacts and whatnot. This probably is ready to go. I do want to dry it off at least slightly. I don't want it soaked when we turn it on. And I do have the spare pair of headphones to use as a kind of a test point, just so that when that thing moves, we're going to be able to see it. So let's pull that out. Here's our headphone jack. And when we insert it, there is that movement that we're looking for. Oh man, that was really jammed up in there. There's the end of our headphone jack. Okay. Let's see if that resolved our issue. Now taking a look at this, you can see we got a lot of corrosion just on that by going in. So we're gonna do that a couple more times and kind of wiggle it around and be a little bit aggressive with it. I suspect that is gonna pretty well clear up the issue. Wow, yeah, already that's such a big difference. Blue is still pretty prevalent on that face there, but not nearly as bad. And I suspect that the mechanical, like, moving portion of all of that is gonna be a little bit better. Okay. Let's go ahead and just try it. Let's just test it. A little bit curious to see if it'll just work. These systems, they're a little bit more resilient, I think, than I often give them credit for. I spend my time mostly with broken ones, so let's just see. Get that slotted in. There we go. Install our ribbon connector. Okay. Pop that guy on. Get our batteries in there. And if our volume's on, let's see if we hear something. Oh. We're not getting anything at all. That means that something might be shorted, or I should have let it dry longer. That's probably the case. Let's see. That power conditioner is a little bit moist. Let's just see if maybe it was more corrosion. Like that one and that one. Am I missing something obvious? Probably not, but it's possible. I'm going to try removing the ribbon connector and then flipping the board back over and just seeing if there's something that I can dry off or touch up a little bit. Oh, it could be that DC power port. Let's see if I can just get rid of any extra liquid that might be stored in there. Our battery terminal connector is also pretty corroded. That one's not as easy of a fix. You can see it there. It's pretty pretty bad. I'll go ahead and just see if I can scrub it off at least a little bit. It doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. Got little patches on the board also. Right there. It's a little concerning. That one. Looks like these are vias that have been corroded through. Okay, well. Just doing a couple more passes on here. Alright, I have no reason to think that it won't turn on. Yeah, which means that I might have broken something. Should be highly unfortunate. Let's keep investigating. Now, I'd have to test with another system. I'm not sure if the Game Boy Color will boot without the screen attached. I know that this is about the time when they started adding in those kind of protections. There are a lot of systems where you can kind of just take off parts and it'll run, and then you take off the screen and all of a sudden it acts up, or you take off the speakers or something like that. I was working on a 3DS recently and I'm still not sure why that one's not working, but the 3DS is having this issue. Nothing. Okay, we're gonna give it a little bit of time to dry. The 3DS was having an issue where it would turn on and the power indicator would like turn on for a moment, and then the screens wouldn't actually show, and it would just shut itself right back off. That was quite frustrating. What I learned with that one was some of the components in the system are not as essential as others. Okay, so this Game Boy Color is probably in the worst condition I've ever seen as far as electronics goes. The shell is fine, good enough, but the board, you can see a little bit there. The board is very, very corroded. This board actually, we're going to take it to the microscope and take a look. This is the worst circuit board corrosion I've ever seen. You can see it's under the silkscreen. It goes all the way from here, all the way down there, around here, and it actually is on the other side as well. From the start pad, all the way over here, all the way around there, right there. It's corroded off some of the gold contacts. So this one, frankly, I don't think that it's realistic to repair it. I could use it for parts, but seeing as it is not my Game Boy and I'm fixing it for a client, I am not going to do that. But I did just want to show this incredible, disgusting but incredible corrosion all the way through here. I started to clean it without realizing that the corrosion was all the way under here, and this was just picking off right here, like that'll get removed, and I can clean the whole thing and remove all of the silk screen and hope that it works, but with the buttons being the way they are, I don't think it's realistic to expect that it's going to be fixed into a usable state. But the actual circuit components themselves, I suspect, are fine, because when I booted it, it's worked okay. It just has weird screen artifacting. So my thought was, what if I find an empty Game Boy Color motherboard and reinstall all of these components into a new one, like the one from Etsy. It would be a lot of work and it would be a lot of time, but I think it could be feasible to do. So I might try it another day. Let's go and look at the purple Game Boy and see what we can do. And then after that, I think we might end up calling it. So let's go ahead and take a look. This purple one here, I have taken apart before. I don't know the exact issue that I was having with it, so let's just... I'll take you through my kind of full diagnostic process. That sounds very official. I promise it's not too complex. Let's get that speaker back in there. So, first thing I'll do with all of these systems is just assemble it how it should go and see if it works. The number of broken or for repair systems that I have worked on that have actually been just fine is very, very high. If you ever look on eBay for like parts, or like Game Boy for 4 parts, or PlayStation for repair, or as is, that kind of thing, yeah, it seems to work fine. Let's test it with the cartridge. What I've learned with any of those 4 parts for repair, as is devices, is that with consoles, especially old consoles, they might just be missing a screen, and that might be it. With handhelds, it might be the consoles themselves might be missing a display cable or a power cable. The consoles might need new button pads, and those are like one of the easiest things to fix. I had a Game Boy Color game set aside to use for testing, but I'm gonna have to grab another one. Alright, so we've got Pokemon Gold to test with. Just make sure the cartridge reader works. So I'll turn it on. We'll check for audio. Oh, okay. Let's make sure that's working. Okay, we got audio. We have a funky logo instead of the Nintendo logo, which means that we need to either clean the cartridge or clean the contact ports for the cartridge reader. The easiest way to do that is to just blow in them, because it's probably just dust. And there we go. We got sound, we have cartridge read, we have display. Let's test our buttons. Clearly the screen lens needs replaced. Okay, A button works. Star button works. Down, up work. Left and right work. B works. Awesome. Let's take it apart, change out the screen lens. So I'll test the function of the sound, the buttons, kind of surface level stuff. Oh, we were having some wear on the PCB there. It's a little bit strange. It looks mostly okay though. Alright, we'll take out the buttons. I like testing anything that I can on the outside without taking it apart first, making notes there, and then going one layer deeper, and then kind of the same thing again. I'll test the components as they are, like this, and then I'll start working on the smaller pieces. So like this display, for example, if we had something wrong with the display, I would kind of test everything around it and then eventually get down to the display itself. So what we're replacing is just this plastic lens here. It goes between the actual display and kind of your eyes. Unfortunately, they tend to get really cracked. They used a pretty soft plastic for these lenses. Nowadays, you can buy glass ones from replacement shops. There's quite a few online that you can find. Mine came from Handheld Legend. Here's the old one, and this is going to go in a pile in case we need it later. I don't like throwing them away, but we don't particularly need them, so it is what it is. I'm going to try to remove the gunk from here. Use some alcohol to make that go a little faster. Yeah, with these kind of repairs, isopropyl alcohol is your best friend. It's not really conductive, so you can't really use too much. It's easy enough on the skin that I don't really worry about it like damaging my fingers. If I use like the 99% stuff for too long, you start to feel it. But this is the lower percent. This is 91, I think. So it's not as like abrasive to the skin. And all I'm doing is just going in little circles and removing any of the excess adhesive that's just sat here. This adhesive, it'll make us install the new screen lens a little bit crooked if we leave it on here. So it just needs to come off as clean as possible. Okay. And that is most of it. It's pretty smooth. Okay. We got a little bit left. Get another cotton swab. The glass screen lenses are a really nice upgrade for your old systems. They immediately make it just look so much cleaner. You're not trying to see through a bunch of old, deep gouges or scratches in the screen. And they're a little bit, glossier than the plastic would be, so it looks a little bit more premium. But they're only like $3 or $4, especially if you buy them in bulk. Okay. That looks perfect. We'll give that a couple seconds to dry. All right. Here's our replacement. It comes in this nice plastic sheet protection. And then honestly the hardest part with these is getting the inside out. It's got a adhesive that's pre-cut, and it's a little bit tough to get that middle part out. So we're gonna take that off, and we're just gonna very carefully line it up and drop it in and just press down. Make sure the adhesive contacts the plastic inside. And that's it. There's our nice fancy new screen lens. Look how much better that is. You can see, besides my fingerprints, it's much cleaner. Okay. Face down. Put our buttons back in. And hopefully this is the last thing that we need to get this Game Boy back to full function and ready to go. Alright, let's drop the motherboard in there. It's funny, when I started testing the sound on this batch of Game Boys, I felt like, man, this one's really quiet. Man, this one's really quiet. And I kept saying that to myself, and then I realized, oh, I need the display. I realized that these old systems are just quiet. That's all. It's not like an issue with my particular unit or my batch of units. They're just quieter than modern machines, and that's okay. It's not a problem. It's just kind of funny, like the small little innovations that we don't think about that much. One of them being the sound in our systems. It's improved quite a bit over the last, couple decades, and now our systems get pretty loud, and pretty bright. The screens in these are the other big sticking point, I think. I'll show off my Game Boy Advance here in a minute. I've done quite a bit of work on that one. A little bit more to go, but that's not the right kind of screw. There we go. So let's get this guy all buttoned up. I love these Game Boy colors. They're so fun, and like the colors are so playful. I like that they're kind of in style right now to be doing like knockoffs of, because I just love the loud colors. That lime green one is so kind of awful, but in a good way. Like I really like it. I love this blue color. This is such a wonderful color for a handheld. The pink also, I think, is a great time. I didn't love the yellow, but I've been working on that Game Boy Pocket that I showed last stream, and I've come to really like it, actually, now that I've kind of held it in my hand. I think yellow is one of those colors that doesn't always come through perfect on camera, so it was kind of fun to get to work on one and kind of have it change my opinion. Go ahead and reconnect the cartridge. I guess it's the cartridge protector. I don't normally take this off, but I did some pretty thorough cleaning on this back piece. So I removed the metal and let the water kind of totally, I totally submerged that back piece in warm soapy water. And that allowed me to kind of passively clean the system. Too tight. Okay, there we go. Now we have our power switch, all the screws are connected. Let's pop this on and we'll test it one more time just before we put the last set of screws in. We got sound, sounds good. Test our cartridge one more time. Wonderful. Let's connect up our housing screws. And we have another Game Boy in the books. We got the Driftvale City theme going on. It's a favorite of mine. I'm currently playing through Pokemon Emerald. I just finished Chrono Trigger, and that game, man, what an adventure. I have a friend who's been trying to get me to play that game for years and years and years, and I've tried it. I've started it and played maybe an hour or two here and there, and every time I would restart it because I forgot everything that happened, and I would get to a certain point in the story and I'd go, I'm kind of bored. It's not really clicking. I don't really get it. But man, this most recent time has been awesome. I tried it again kind of on a whim, and I don't know what was different, but it clicked. So I played it all in one go, not like in one day, but it was the only game I was playing for about a week. And what a fantastic experience. The music and the various timelines and the characters are all just wonderful. Highly recommend. But after that, I've been playing through Pokemon Emerald. There's our purple Game Boy. Totally finished. We're going to go ahead and put it in the box and get ready to send off. Yeah, so I've been playing through Pokemon Emerald, and I've just started it, but it's good. I imported it from Japan, so I've been playing it in Japanese, which has been challenging, but it's good. It's good practice. All right, this has been sitting for a minute. Let's try this one again, and hope that it works. And if it doesn't, then I'll have to get a new power conditioner. And if it does, then we can celebrate. Pop the switch in here. Yeah, Pokemon Emerald's so good. I love those Gen 3 games. The first Pokemon games that I played and I think that I really truly connected with would probably be Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I played Black and White previously, and I played some of Soul Silver, and I played I guess X and Y I really enjoyed. But there was just something about the Gen 3 remakes that really caught my attention. I just really enjoyed them. I really appreciated them. Okay, yeah, this is not happening. I'm going to go ahead and give it another kind of alcohol soak. See if that works. Okay. We'll set that aside for now. Anyway, the Gen 3 music is so much fun. It is so... I don't know. Those French horns are so, loud. Not just, noisy loud, but loud in style, I guess. Okay. These can go back in here. I believe these are for the other blue Game Boy Color that I've got. The one with the awful, terrible corrosion. Okay. Learning some of the Japanese Pokemon names has been fun. It's interesting with Pokemon. Some of them are puns in English and in Japanese, and some of them are just the Japanese names, and some of them are changed by the region. They've got quite a mix of naming conventions and naming styles. So I think one of my favorites is Bulbasaur. his name in English is Bulbasaur, which is like a portmanteau of like a bulb, like a plant, and dinosaur. And in Japanese, his name is Fushigidane, which is like, it looks strange, isn't it? But in Japanese. Like, I think it's so funny that Pokemon number 001 is, man, that's a strange looking dog. Like, that's so silly. Oh, I didn't even turn this one on. I should probably test it first, huh? I just got excited and started taking it apart. No sound? No sound. Interesting. Okay. Oh, is this the one that's missing a speaker? A speaker fell out of one of them. Nope. Oh, man. That could mean a variety of things. Let's see what I have marked in the book. I keep a notebook with notes for what I've worked on and kind of some of the like notes that I have. Yeah, what does it say here? It says, well, it says it doesn't turn on, and then it also says no sound. However, clearly it turns on, so we're just dealing with no sound. So, let's see. Just on looking at it, I don't see anything that immediately stands out, which is good. I don't see any of that nasty corrosion from earlier. I don't see any like leakage from the capacitors or any battery acid or anything. Let's go one layer deeper and kind of play around with it. I mean, if we're lucky, it's just the speaker that's an issue, but I suspect that that is not the case. We can try that cool trick that we learned earlier with plugging this in and seeing if it works. And yeah, just looking around, I don't see anything that screams fix me. But sometimes that means that more devious problems are at play. So let's give it a test with the headphone jack and see if the headphone jack audio works, because it could just be the speaker. I hope it's just the speaker. See if we get sound. No sound. Let's plug this in. And you all won't be able to hear it, but I have little earbuds. Okay, so the sound works in the earbud. Let me see if I can actually get that to transfer over to you. Probably not. Okay, that's alright. So that means that the speaker needs to be replaced. Thankfully, I've got one here. We're gonna see what we can do before replacing the speaker, because it could be a couple things. Again, it could be that mechanical issue down in the speaker or in the audio jack. It could be speaker connection being bad. Let's see what we can see. None of the connections look corroded. And I'm gonna look at real close. We'll go to the microscope and take a look. This is the one that we have drying out. That should be fine once it's dry. Let's watch that contact move. So there you can see now it's moving the contact away, like away and on, away and on. So it could be something to do with that. Let's see what, this is the other one that we were messing with. This is moving it away. Oh, see, when we have it moved away, there's still corrosion under there. That might have been our issue on the other guy. Sound-wise, at least. That's already a little bit better. Okay, we'll leave that there. Alright, this is going to be the last thing we do tonight. Let's take a look. Now, it could be the speakers having bad connections there, maybe. One of the other ones, the wires were almost totally removed by the time I was in here. Okay. Let's try removing the speaker and putting this alternate one in. Let me just strip the insulation on this. Doing it. There we go. Just gotta make room to be able to put it through that battery hole, or the component hole. Okay, let's take the old one off. Get it nice and warm, and then I'm just going to pull on it from the back side. As I heat, just pull those wires out. We'll set it with that one. It was plugged in like that, so we're going to match it on this one. Heat the pad up. Let's tin the wires first. Oops. I tied a knot in the solder. Please, please. Okay. I'll take you to the microscope. Let's show this here is my wire. I'm just gonna basically attach some solder to it. That way, when I want to connect it, the solder is gonna flow really nicely into the solder that's already on the motherboard. So now, when we go here, get it nice and hot. I have to add a little bit. We got one. Let's get number two. And it's just being real gentle, heating up the solder that's already there, and pushing the wire through the existing hole, making sure that the wire makes good contact and that solder melts through the threaded core wire. I'll put the iron away. Okay, we've installed the new speaker. Let's go ahead and give it a test. We'll pop this back down. So if the speaker was the issue, then we have solved the issue. And if it wasn't the issue, then we still have two good speakers. I think that's pretty good solution. Get that connected up in there. Okay. And we'll attach this. Get our batteries in there. And the moment of truth. Oh. Okay, well, we'll just use this. No sound. Wah wah. Yeah, we should hear the little ding there, and we don't. So, let's see what else we can take a look at. It might just be a capacitor issue. I'll have to order capacitors for this one. Alright, well, that's going to call it for the night, I think. We got one Game Boy repaired successfully. We have a couple more that are almost finished. We repaired the PlayStation 1. I think that's pretty good progress. Yeah, that seems good. Alright, well, that's gonna be it. That's all.